as I was saying, I don't know if there's anything conspiratorial going on, but I do know that once something does happen, it's taken advantage of and there are consequences of it. And one thing that I am connecting here, I'm not totally sure how it's going to be used, but I do have, oh, that bird that just flew is called a brown thrush, I believe. Although that's a massive one. Or is it a hawk of sorts? I don't know. It could very well be a hawk. I hate to advance upon it, but oh yeah, it was a hawk, and I just disrupted its dinner because you probably saw the rabbit running off just now. You'll see a lot of really intense survival of the fittest activity going on in here. Anyway, one thing that I sort of see coming out of this is Russia and the United States might get along better out of this because, and sort of for a negative reason, but the whole Chechenian situation might bring the countries together somewhat after some really frosty relations going on. Has anyone watched the series on the cable network FX called The Americans? I believe it's set in the early 70s, early or late 70s, about intel going on. It seems like Russian spies of some sort, or Soviet spies, I should say, rather, in the United States, sort of working covert by definition. I caught a little bit of that in a few nights ago, when this whole no internet phase has been going on, and I think that my generation, people born in the 80s and forward, really don't think anything of that at all. There's some jokes about communism or whatever, but that was not part of our conditioning. We went through the terror phase rather than the Cold War, and it's interesting to see how much of that is still in play right now. And after reading the book Currency Wars, finally, I think there's a lot more strategy going on to everything than we could imagine. And so if anything good can come out of the situation in Boston, I hope that could be one thing, as long as it's not at the expense of a minority. The spot that was bombed, I must have walked by there at least 5 times, and I used to do some work for my TEFL, my Teaching English as a Foreign Language course, about a block from there. Around the corner is a pretty popular meeting spot. You see people constantly staring at their iPhones. Well, I was there sort of before that really took off, but they were checking their phones, waiting for friends to arrive and so forth. Another thing that's been on my mind a little bit is I don't get on YouTube as much as I used to, but a lot of people are very much idealizing moving away from wherever they are. And I've seen some pretty sharp people who are in a fairly good situation that are just desperate to get moving. And maybe they're already abroad somewhere. And typically, like, one little remark I've made to myself is wherever you are is no worse than the second best place to be, because you already have more to work with by being there than you would otherwise. I have attempted living abroad and have had lots of experiences in places randomly over the years. And I heard somebody screaming. It's probably just sports related. And so, oh, and there's a couple over there. And so, they're just playing a trick, it's funny. Sorry, that really threw me off. To me, that's all in good fun. And maybe they're trying to attract owls too, I don't know. Oh, okay, so back to trying to live different places. I find that, someone else has to have paved the way to some degree before you should move somewhere. And you don't want to be overly reliant upon that person either. I've never shown up somewhere and expected somebody to just sort of make things happen for me or anything. I've been the person to help once or twice, but generally you can work with wherever you are, provided you have a long enough term expectation or plan with the place. If you are projecting the energy of not in it to stay, then it's really hard for someone to really go the extra mile for you. And I have had people go the extra mile for me, but I don't want to get involved in something that I can't see through properly. I was offered a position as an adjunct professor, and I've had to turn it down because I don't see myself really being able to give as much as I should for something like that. And every time you move, you sort of lose momentum a little bit, although at the time, the first couple of months somewhere can really give you an incredible surge of energy and exuberance that will make things seem like they're advancing very quickly, and then you're looking for patterns that seem to be forging that move for you, but the payoff is sometimes questionable. And this is something that I succumb to again and again. The wanderlust, the need to move and to be stimulated by different people, but it also makes you abandon assets already in place sometimes, and that's not good. And so the thread of this dialogue I have today is that a reactionary culture and swift short-term responses to things really is not constructive or value enhancing in the long term. And that's not to say that I will never do something that shortchanges my own long-term well-being, because I'm sure I will invalidate these statements again and again. But I would like to see people just have a much more stable response to everything that's going on around them, and to just sort of let things settle and return value and keep things smooth when possible. It's not necessary to jump when things are not coming together super quick, or to expect an immediate apprehension, or that's not the right word, to apprehend a suspect immediately, or to serve justice right now, that sort of thing. Just let everything kind of work itself around, and then as time goes on, you're in a position to make things right, and move capital in ways that will make the world more just. But it's not always a flashy thing. It's a slow daily grind on a lot of that. So at any rate, I appreciate you watching, and thanks for coming along for the walk. Bye.